We'll be joined by Republican Representative Don Bacon from Nebraska in a moment to discuss the tax and spending bill. But first, we have with us Democratic Representative Gregory Meeks, who serves the 5th Congressional District of New York. Representative, thank you so much for joining us. As you see it, what parts of the bill do you dislike the most?
All of it, just about. Look, it's the biggest health care cut in the history of the United States of America. Over $1 trillion of cuts for Medicaid. When you think about young people and disabled people who are dependent upon food on the SNAP, for food subsidies, that is eliminated. And why? It's the focus of giving billionaires a tax cut. And so it just seems to me that it's the biggest reverse Robin Hood type legislation that we've ever seen in America.
You said today on the steps of the Capitol that you, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, and other Democrats have a plan to fight this bill. Can you give us any sense of what that plan is?
Well, the plan is to make sure that we expose, so all we need is 4 Republican members who have, many of them of whom have said and pledged that they would not vote for this bill if there was any Medicaid cuts. So we're going to make sure that we're putting the pressure on them. This bill will take away from 17 million Americans will lose Medicare and lose their health care benefits. That is not who we are or who we should be as the United States of America.
You and colleagues today called on Republicans to have John McCain-level courage to stand up and go against their party and their president. Give us a sense of how realistic you think that is, that there are Republicans who are going to join the Democrats and oppose this bill.
Well, we saw 3 do it in the Senate. It took the vice president to break the tie. And I think the fact that we're still here today and there's still some arm twisting being done by the president and the vice president shows that there are a number of Republicans that are reluctant to do this. And here's where they need to have the spine of John McCain. Stand up and do the right thing for your constituents. Don't capitulate to the one who wants to be an autocrat, in my opinion, wants to be a king, who is trying to just help his buddies who are billionaires receive a tax cut at the expense of rest. They know, and I know there's 7 in New York, for example. They know better, and many of them are saying so behind the scenes, but they need the same spine that John McCain had and stand up to do the right thing for their constituencies. Give them and make sure they are able to keep their Medicaid and their Medicare, because there was about $500 billion that will be taken from Medicare also, of almost $2.5 billion for SNAP. You know, and they know that it is the wrong thing to take away those benefits. These members on the Republican side of the aisle need to have that spine and that courage to stand up and make sure that they're working with their constituents, because much of what will be taken away comes from Republicans, not just Democratic districts.
So as you know, Donald Trump is hoping that he has this bill on his desk to sign July 4th, 2 days from now. If you're a betting man, do you think that bill's going to be there?
I think that we may be may not get it done by July 4th. I think we've heard the speaker say that it may not be by July 4th. You know, we've got a bill that has been open now for over 3 hours that hasn't been closed because they are at the White House twisting arms and trying to convince some Republicans to switch their votes. And I think that, frustration could very well set in, and they decide to hold it over till after the 4th of July holidays. But, no one really knows because, unfortunately, we've seen before where folks have caved in to the wishes of Donald Trump against the wishes of their own constituents.
Representative Gregory Meeks, we thank you so much for your time tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.